4th and goal to go to the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Ten possible head coaches for the New York Football Giants. Now, of course, we got one of them right here, Mr. Kiffin, right? Who, of course, was coaching Mr. Dart right here. A lot of it you have to wait and see, what who the Giants bring in. Offensive-minded coach, defensive-minded coach. You bring in a defensive-minded coach. Yeah, you gotta do something to keep the ball rolling with Mr. Dart. You better bring somebody in, offensive coordinator or somebody who's, going to take care of Mr. Dart. You bring an offensive-minded coach, okay, cool. Who's calling plays? You're going to call the plays. You're going to have an offensive coordinator calling plays. Who's taking care of Dart? What kind of system are you going to run? You want to run something that maybe Dart's never run before, not familiar with, maybe not good at. So they got some interesting things, very, very interesting things coming up here. But I did see this here. 10 coaches. So, all right, who we got here? Of course, there's always the Bill Belichick. Of course, he's the head coach of North Carolina. Belichick's name will come up quite a bit throughout this search. The legendary head coach has close ties to the Mara family and has linked to the organization and well documented. Belichick was on the Giants coaching staff beginning in 1979 and through the 1990 season. By that time, elevating a defensive coordinator, Belichick was a key figure to 2 Super Bowl champions. Blah, 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 blah. So, currently, he's been trying his hand at coaching at the collegiate level at UNC, and it has been a turbulent tenure despite back-to-back wins, though. He has just a $1 million buyout, so an avenue back to the NFL is realistic from that standpoint, and it'd be hard to imagine that he wouldn't have interest in the job. That said, is New York looking for someone like Belichick at the stage of his career? He'll be 74 years old in April. It's like so if he's here for a couple of years, he's gonna be 76, he's gonna be 77. You look at Pete Carroll. Dude's still there, right? Some guys can still do it. But sometimes it passes other coaches by. Once Brady left New England, how did Belichick do? I think he had one good season with Matt Daddy Jones in there, but he just started kind of right. So, but he might have himself a quarterback, franchise quarterback. He's got a good defense. He's got a good offense. So maybe bring him back for a couple of years. One of the other things too is when he was with the Patriots, is he was kind of like the man. He was kind of like the GM and everything. So is he going to want to come in and start listening to the Shane, who's about half his age? Telling them who they can afford, who they can't afford. This, Belichick's kind of like stuck in his ways. The next one, they got this on this list here, and I can't possibly see why. They got Steve Spagnuolo. I can't buy. The 2 times he was a coach, he was an interim coach for the Giants, and he was a coach for the Rams. It did not work out well. He's a very good defensive coordinator, very good defensive mind. Now, if we got him here as a defensive coordinator, now we're talking. With the guys that we got, I think we're talking. Oh, heck yeah, baby. But as a head coach, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. He's not a good head coach. Jeff Hafley, defensive coordinator for the Packers. Hafley has spent the last 2 seasons as defensive coordinator with the Packers under Matt LaFleur. While he doesn't have prior NFL head coaching experience, the Montvale native was the head coach at Boston College from 2020 through the 2023 season. With that in mind, he wouldn't be coming into this role entirely green. The 46-year-old has Green Bay as a top 5 defense in fewest yards in 2024 and 6th in the league in points allowed. Entering Week 10, the Packers defense is once again a top 10 in the league in both categories. And once again, they gave up 10 points to the Eagles. The Eagles didn't even get 300 yards of offense. And you figure the Eagles didn't even get 300 yards of offense. Saquon averaged 3 yards a carry. They didn't get 300 yards of offense. And not only so much that, this is Jeff Hafley, his defensive coordinator for the Packers. But not only that, the Packers offense did absolutely freaking nothing. It's theory relatively. Everything's all relative. If your offense is on the field, meaning the Packers marching up and down the field, which they should be, your defense is on the sideline drinking Kool-Aid, not giving up any points, not giving up any yards. Well, the Packers offense, first 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, did absolutely freaking nothing. Nothing. Didn't even have a freaking point. First, 55 minutes of the game, 54, didn't even have a freaking point. So for the Packers defense to hold the Eagles to under 300 yards of offense and 10 total points, that's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. But once again, just another disappointment for the Packers. Chance at home to beat a top, and then couldn't do it. Choked. Absolutely choked. Now the Eagles did have a bye week, so they were refreshed, but still the Packers had a chance at Lambeau to beat a top-notch team and choked. Absolutely choked. So they'll be a little pissed off when they play the Giants next week. That's going to be a big game, obviously, for everybody. But the Packers don't want to lose again. They were 5-1-1. Now they might be 5. If they lose to the Giants, they'll be 5-4-1. I don't want to do that. So listen to Jeff Hafley, maybe. Right? Joe Brady, offensive coordinator of the Bills. Brady's been a hot head coaching candidate for the last couple of years. While he comes from the offensive side, which could be attractive for a team with a young quarterback, might be a hard pill to swallow for the Giants, particularly after just firing Dable. That's true. Are they really going to hire another former offensive coordinator from the Bills? That would be a laughing joke. That would be a running joke forever if the Giants want to bring Joe Brady in here, another offensive coordinator from the Bills. He's only 36-year-old, and he could be a youthful injection that an organization needs, but it may be not realistic despite helping coach up Josh Allen to an MVP level in 2024. Well, I mean, they're not doing that phenomenal this year. They only scored 16 points against the Dolphins this past week. I think it was 16. So, Lincoln Riley, head coach of the USC. This one is a bit of a wild card, but why not get a little crazy? This is the type of job that coaches from all across the nation are going to be paying attention to and may be willing to push their chips into the middle for. Riley hasn't been shy of making big career moves in the past, leaving Oklahoma after the 2021 season for USC. He currently has the Trojans in the mix for a spot in the college football playoff, which has only grown his stock. But Riley has recently stated he's where I need to be. Still, if New York shows interest, it'll be silly for Riley not to hear them out, especially because we have a quarterback. Right? Robert Saleh. Now, the thing is that, Saleh, once again, we'll have to wait and see. Right? But they got rid of Saleh. They brought in somebody else. Well, how are they doing? Not any better than what Saleh was doing. Right? But the one thing I would like was Saleh defensive minded coach. We're gonna have to bring somebody in offensive, I don't know if they'll keep. I don't know, whatever. But they bring Saleh in defense. He could be, big presence on the defense. He might be able to get this defense turned around. Bob Bowen, in come Mr. Saleh. So, we'll have to wait and see. Saleh is known to Giant fans for his lackluster tenure with the Giants, but the current Niners DC will likely be a hot candidate once again. His biggest demise in New York was the Jets' failure to land a quarterback. And they're still trying to land a quarterback, which wouldn't be a problem here with Dart. Speaking of Dart, Saleh recently just gushed over the Giants rookie leading up to the Week 9 matchup, calling him uber talented, as ESPN's Jordan Renan noted. Saleh also met up with Dart after the game, so there was clearly some interest on the part of Saleh. He may also be the type of head coach who is a better the second time around. We'll say, especially if he can attach himself with a capable offensive coordinator. Maybe former Niners coordinator and current Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel is, if he is let go by Miami, wouldn't that be an interesting combo? I mean, McDaniel was good offensive coordinator, not good head coach, good offensive coordinator. Bring Saleh in here for the defense. Get McDaniels in here for the offense with Dart and all of that. Could be good. Could be a little good match there because Saleh can be had. There's no doubt about that. He's a defensive coordinator. If you're going to bring him in for a head coach, right? McDaniel, I'd be shocked if he's there at the end of the season. So we'll have to wait and see. Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator of the Chargers, or his name's been floating there around there quite a bit. Minter may not be a household name, but he's going to be one of the more sought-after candidates of the next few hiring cycles. Minter comes from the Jim Harbaugh coaching tree, working under him at the University of Michigan as his defensive coordinator before following him to the NFL and serving in the same role with the Chargers. The 42-year-old has coached top 10 defenses throughout his first 2 years in the NFL. Last season, the Chargers was number 1 in the NFL in points allowed. Through week 10 of this season, the club is number 7 in points allowed and number 4 in total yards allowed. He'd do wonders with Burns, Carter, and Lawrence, thus making life much easier for Dart and the offense. Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator for the Commanders. Giants have seen firsthand what Kingsbury can do with a mobile quarterback, helping Jaden Daniels burst onto the scene as a rookie and catapult Washington to the NFC Championship game last season. The 2025 campaign has been more trying for the Commanders, largely due to losing Daniels and Terry McLaurin, both dealing with injuries. That said, Kingsbury is an intriguing fit and has prior head coaching experience, which includes a 11-6 season in 2021 on his resume with the Cardinals. Given that his expertise comes from the offensive side of the ball, that could be an attractive for the Giants, who'd likely want a consistent voice in Dart's ear throughout his development, which they may not get with a defensive-minded coach who has to hire an offensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are doing really good this year. Kubiak had the Saints offense rolling for a minute in 2024, but the lack of talent ultimately slowed the unit down. However, talent isn't a problem in Seattle, where the offense coordinator has been helping the Seahawks take the NFC by storm. You got that right. They powered to a 7-2 record with the number 3 ranked scoring offense and are also number 9 overall in total yards. Under Kubiak, Sam Darnold is averaging 9.9 yards per pass attempt, which is absolutely freaking crazy. You average almost 10 yards per pass attempt. That is phenomenal. While Jackson Smith-Njigba is currently leading the NFL in receiving yards, it's scary to think what he'd be able to do with Dart and a healthy Neighbors as a quarterback-wide receiver combo, plus get the dude another weapon. And you just think, too, what this guy would do. Clint Kubiak, what he could have done if Metcalf was still there. If he had Metcalf, Smith-Njigba there, what he could possibly do. Wow. And then the last one to talk about here is Lane Kiffin. Should be noted that this doesn't sound like it's a realistic option, as Kiffin told Dart's father, Brandon, as much. That said, you have to make the call if you're Joe Shane. Kiffin coached Dart at Ole Miss and helped develop him into the quarterback that New York drafted at number 25 overall. The two reportedly have remained close, so it would seem like an ideal fit for the pair your young quarterback with someone who not only has in-depth knowledge of the player, but is a fantastic head coach to boot. Kiffin has Ole Miss in contention for the college football playoff and could be targeted by other high-profile collegiate programs once the season is over. If Kiffin feels like a different challenge and wants to get back into the NFL, he was the head coach of the Raiders from 2007 to 2008. The Giants, with Dart present, would be quite an opportunity. Of course, and then let's not also forget about, Mike Kafka. Right? I said, let's see what happens. We got 3 tough games coming up, 2 of them on the road. I mean, hey, anything's possible. Anything's possible. That's why you play the games. If somehow the Giants can go 1-2 out of these next 3, then you go into this final. Then you get a bye week. You get some players back. Unfortunately, like probably McFadden's not going to be one of them. Scadaboo's not going to be one of them. Malik Neighbor's not going to be one of them. But if we can get in these final 4 games against the Raiders on the road, of course, then the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Vikings, all those 3 games at home, none of them have winning records. I mean, we could certainly win a couple of those games. So let's see, once again, let's see what Mr. Kafka can do. I mean, we got 7 games left. So regardless, 7 games, it's an odd number. So either we're going to, after those 7 games for Kafka, he's either going to have a winning record, unless there's a tie in there, of course, but he's going to have a winning record or a losing. We might be 2-5. We might be 3-4. We might be 1-6. We could be 0-7. We could be 4-3. Yeah. So let's see what he's got. But I was saying that also is regardless, because like with the Rooney rules and all that, you have to bring in, I believe, a minority, coach, and at least interview them. So but regardless, there's got to be a head coach, opportunity, right, for other guys. So just because Kafka does a good job, we just can't sign him at the end of the season. There's got to bring other guys in. So it'll be interesting to see. So the final 7 games will be rather interesting. But I know those Packers are going to be a big, big game for them. I look for their defense, especially if Dart's not playing. Whew. And if we put Wilson in there, good luck and God bless to us. Boy, I'll tell you, this is going to be a huge game. They need this game coming up. They do not want to go 5-4-1. If they lose, go 5-4-1.